The night was a cruel one. Snow fell in heavy sheets, erasing the world in white, while the wind roared like an unforgiving beast. On a lonely, snow-covered road stood Emma, her breath trembling in the freezing air. Her old car sat lifeless behind her, the hood frosted over, the engine refusing to start no matter how many times she turned the key. She pulled her thin coat tighter, but it was no match for the blizzard biting through her skin. Her fingers had gone numb, her lips trembling as she tried to call for help. But when she pulled out her phone, the screen flickered once, and died, its battery drained. Panic rippled through her chest. The nearest town was miles away, and with the storm growing worse, every direction looked the same, endless, blinding snow. She was utterly alone. Emma's teeth chattered as she crouched against the car for shelter, her body trembling violently. She pressed her arms around herself, rocking gently, trying to hold on to warmth that simply wasn't there. A tear slid down her frozen cheek as she whispered to the darkness, voice barely audible over the storm. "Please, not tonight. I can't, not like this." Her words vanished into the howling wind, but in her heart they echoed with a desperate prayer. For safety. For kindness. For a miracle. And though she didn't know it yet, that prayer was about to be answered. Emma pressed her back against the frozen car door, her eyes heavy, her body weak. The storm seemed endless, each gust of icy wind stealing away what little strength she had left. Just as her hope began to fade, a faint glow appeared through the curtain of snow. Headlights. At first, she thought her mind was playing tricks on her, hallucinations born of cold and desperation. But then, the rumble of an engine cut through the storm. A sleek black SUV crawled down the road, its tires crunching against the ice before coming to a sudden stop a few feet away. The driver's door opened, and a tall figure stepped out, bracing against the wind. Without hesitation, he shrugged off his heavy coat and strode toward her. Emma wanted to move, to speak, but her lips felt frozen shut. Then she felt it, the warmth of thick fabric draped around her shoulders. His voice, deep but gentle, broke through the chaos of the storm. "You'll freeze out here. Come with me." For a moment, Emma hesitated. She didn't know him. The world had taught her to be careful, to doubt strangers. Yet something in his tone, steady, commanding, but full of genuine concern, pulled her in. She looked up into his face, only faintly illuminated by the headlights, and saw not a stranger, but safety. Her knees buckled from exhaustion, and he caught her effortlessly, steadying her as though she weighed nothing. "Easy," he murmured. "You're safe now." Emma let out a shaky breath, the first flicker of hope warming her frozen chest. She didn't know who this man was or why fate had brought him here, but she knew one thing: on this night of bitter cold, kindness had finally found her. The warmth hit her the moment they stepped inside. The heavy wooden door slammed against the storm, shutting out the roar of the blizzard. Emma blinked in disbelief. She stood in a spacious cabin, its walls lined with dark wood, a fire crackling in a grand stone fireplace. The air smelled faintly of cedar and something rich simmering in the kitchen. The man guided her toward the hearth, easing her into a leather chair. Without a word, he draped another blanket around her shoulders and crouched beside the fire, stoking it until the flames leapt higher. Emma felt her frozen fingers tingle painfully as sensation began to return. "You're safe here," he said softly, pouring tea into a mug and handing it to her. His hands, though strong, moved with careful gentleness. Emma's lips trembled as she whispered, "Thank you." "I thought I was going to," her voice cracked, unable to finish the sentence. "You won't," he interrupted firmly. "Not tonight." For the first time, she looked at him clearly. His face was striking, but there was something else, something familiar. It took her a moment before the realization struck: she had seen him before, on television, in headlines. Daniel Blake. The billionaire tycoon, known for his empire and fortune. Yet here he was, sleeves rolled up, moving about the kitchen, ladling hot soup into a bowl as if it were the most natural thing in the world. His cabin, though elegant, was quiet, almost lonely. Emma clutched the steaming mug, staring at him with wide eyes. Why are you doing this?" she asked. Daniel paused, meeting her gaze with a faint, almost weary smile. "Because no one deserves to be left in the cold." The storm raged on outside, but inside the cabin, the fire cast a golden glow across the room. Emma sat wrapped in blankets, the warmth slowly seeping back into her bones. Daniel set a bowl of soup before her and sat across the table, his posture calm, though his eyes carried a weight she couldn't quite name. For a long moment, they ate in silence. Finally, Emma lowered her spoon and whispered, "I don't know how to thank you. I was so close to giving up out there." Her voice trembled, the memory too raw. Daniel leaned back, his gaze steady. "You don't need to thank me. Anyone would have done the same." Emma shook her head gently. "No, most people wouldn't stop in a storm like this. Most people wouldn't risk it." Something flickered in his eyes. He hesitated, then said quietly, "Maybe most people wouldn't. But I couldn't just drive past and leave you there. Truth is," he exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "For all my wealth, all my success, I've never been able to escape the emptiness. Tonight, helping you, it reminded me of what actually matters." Emma blinked, stunned by his honesty. "You? Empty?" she asked softly. He gave a small, almost self-mocking smile. "Money fills houses, not hearts. And when you live in a world where people only see your bank account, not your soul, it's easy to feel alone." Her eyes softened. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing his. "I know that kind of loneliness. Mine comes from having nothing, yours from having everything. But, it feels the same, doesn't it?" Daniel's hand closed gently over hers. For the first time, both realized they weren't so different after all. By morning, the storm had finally passed. The world outside the cabin was blanketed in a dazzling sheet of white, untouched and pure, as though the earth itself had been reborn overnight. Sunlight sparkled on the snow, and the silence felt almost sacred after the relentless roar of the blizzard. Emma stood near the window, wrapped in Daniel's coat, watching the way the light danced across the landscape. She could hardly believe the night before had been real, the cold, the fear, the hopelessness. Now, there was only warmth. Daniel approached quietly, a mug of fresh coffee in his hands. He offered it to her, his expression softer than she had ever seen. For a man whose face often appeared on magazine covers with headlines about power and wealth, he seemed almost unrecognizable now, simply human, simply kind. "You should rest a little longer before heading out," he said. Emma smiled faintly, shaking her head. "I've rested more than I thought I'd ever get the chance to." "You saved my life, Daniel. I don't know how to repay you." He hesitated, his voice low but certain. "Emma, you don't owe me anything. If anything, I should be thanking you." She turned to him, confused. "Thanking me? For what?" His eyes held hers, steady and unguarded. "Because last night reminded me what I'd forgotten, that life isn't about fortune or power. It's about connection. About people. You saved me, as much as I saved you." Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from something deeper, hope. She reached for his hand, and he clasped it gently, firmly, as though he never wanted to let go. In the coldest night, she had found warmth. In the loneliest heart, she had found love.